investigations launch into alleged sexual abuse in Corozal. Belize Teachers Union members stage unauthorized roadblocks amid negotiations sparks police confrontations. Belize police review charges against teachers following what they deem as civil disobedience actions. The junta agrees to 6 of the 7 proposals presented by government, and the National Celebrations Commission unveils the theme for the 2025 National Celebrations. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Wednesday, June 4th, 2025.
It is truly a proud and historic moment for us here in San Ignacio. It gives me great joy to welcome you all to the official opening of the very first wooden basketball court in our community.
The cost of the project in completion was about $200,000. Honorable Mala was willing to assist us with this project. This is a huge, huge investment for us.
There can be serious development through sports, especially if the right foundation, having the right facilities are in place. Then the programs follow. We can't put the carriage front of the house by having the programs, but we only have outdoor facilities. Belize rain 6 months out of the year, and having outdoor facilities is just not enough.
Our focus is going to be on education because that's a part of using sports as a vehicle to get as many of our athletes to international schools to play football, basketball, volleyball, track, whatever it is. The other thing is health. 33% of our people are afflicted by diabetes, hypertension, or some ailment like that. And those things can be prevented. So we want to create again the facilities where people can go exercise, have fun.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Joanna Rodriguez. Authorities have launched a criminal investigation following serious allegations of sexual abuse reported by a woman and her 12-year-old daughter. The incident was brought to the attention of police on Thursday afternoon around 1:45 p.m. when the mother and her daughter visited the Corozal police station to file a report. According to the complainant, the alleged abuse occurred over several years. She claimed that her stepfather inappropriately touched her during June 2019 and forced her to engage in inappropriate contact. Furthermore, she stated that her stepfather had engaged in sexual relations with her on at least 3 occasions, including sometime in 2019 and twice in 2025. A medical examination was conducted as part of the investigation, and the medical officer confirmed that the minor had been carnally known, indicating evidence of sexual contact. The case is now under active investigation by authorities who are working to gather additional evidence and determine the full extent of the allegations. No arrests have been made at this stage, and the identity of the individuals involved has not been released to the public. Members of the Belize National Teachers Union from across the country escalated their protest actions today as the different branches carried out road blockages. The actions began as early as 5 this morning, where teachers in the southern part of the country blocked major intersections of the highway in Bahia Vista and Dangriga. Those actions saw police interventions, and several footages posted online by the membership of that division depicted confrontations between officers and teachers who were reporting mechanical failure as the reason for not being able to remove their vehicles from the highway. Despite some shoving from both the police and protesters, that first blockade was peacefully resolved after about 2 hours, when police were able to safely remove all the blockages from the road. Similar mechanical failure blockades were reported in various areas in Belize City later in the day, with police also promptly responding and removing the road blockages. Teachers in Corozal town also joined in on the actions as they blocked one of the main entrances in that municipality, citing mechanical failure as the reason. The actions carried out by teachers today was seemingly part of the three-tiered approach of the BNTU as they continue in negotiations with the government to secure an 8.5% salary adjustment for teachers and public officers. These singular actions, which happened at different times in different parts of the country, however, seem to have been members of the union who were acting outside the mandate of the union and its leadership and planned actions. In a message this afternoon by BNTU National President Nadia Martin Callis, she effectively is chastising those involved in today's civil unrest. In her message, Callis questions the motivation of today's actions.
We are still negotiating, members. We are still negotiating. Now, today or Wednesday, government is supposed to respond to us. That response will determine the next step forward. Members, you voted for a three-tier approach. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. Those are the BNTU plans. But the BNTU is a part of the joint unions. So when the joint unions met, they put together all the different strategies and there's a joint plan of action. Within the joint plan of action, we have the BNTU major points as well. So when you're a part of a team, you're a part of the team. Some of you are complaining you didn't vote for that. You didn't vote. By nature of association, you're a part of the BNTU. The BNTU is a part of this body. These are some of the things that we get involved in. Members, you're boring hole in your own ship. The tongue is very powerful, and some of your energy is very negative. And some of you are critics, some of you are talkers, some of you are doers. And majority of you right now, as your leader, I am questioning, are you in this for the right reason, or are you just in this for the sake of being in it?
As the BNTU and the wider joint union negotiating team were expecting a response from the government today based on correspondence from the unions over the weekend, Callis says today's actions served to bore holes in the union's plan of action.
What am I trying to tell you, members, is that we are following a process. The process is the negotiation process. The protest, how we register our discontent, works hand in hand with the process. Sometimes the process dictates the protest. Sometimes the protest dictates the process. Meaning you have to bring pressure so you can move the process along. Meaning because you're not happy with the process, what they're giving you during negotiations, you protest to register your discontent. Those are things I need for you to bear in mind, members. Now, the current plan of action that started today. Different branches, different time. You started boring hole in the ship. You know what's happening at the BNTU right now? Or what's happening to the BNTU right now? Too many people are selling the information. And it's happening from the top to the bottom. Nothing you can keep a secret. A small group of members are working on it, sharing the action to different persons. Others are upset because they are not a part of the planning. And some are not a part of the planning because when they are part of the planning, some sell the information. And when others get the information, same thing. And you know what I pay attention?
This evening, the mechanical failure blockages by members of the BNTU continued. The Philip Golson Highway near Esperanza Village was a blockade just after 5 p.m., causing major vehicular backup on both ends of the blockade as commuters attempted to travel home after the workday. Today's actions by members of the Belize National Teachers Union is tonight being reviewed by the Belize Police Department with the view of raising charges against individuals who were part of the actions which they called civil disobedience. In an interview with the media today, Assistant Superintendent of Police Stacey Smith confirmed that police are reviewing relevant laws, including the Criminal Code, the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, and the Control of Public Meetings and Public Processions Act to identify offenses such as obstructing the free flow of traffic, unlawful assembly, obstruction of the officers in the execution of their duties, and even aggravated assault.
What the department appreciates and the country must appreciate is that whilst teachers have their right to freedom of expression, which I understand to mean in this instance, them registering their discontent, them expressing their right cannot be done in such a way that infringes on the rights of others. A relevant right in this instance is the right to freedom of movement, which is impacted by the blockage of roads, which certainly prevents citizens from getting from one point to another or to organize their day, and it may also have a cascading effect on their personal plans and the provision of emergency services by the respective authorities. Whilst the department has exercised restraint and discretion, the law and order, and in that vein, we are in the process of reviewing provisions of the Criminal Code, the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, and the Control of Public Meetings and Public Procession Act, with a view to identifying the relevant offenses, which at this point appears to be obstructing the free flow of traffic, unlawful assembly, obstruction of the officers in the execution of their duties, and aggravated assault. So these provisions are being reviewed with a view to bring persons before the court.
Responding officers, according to ASP Smith, exercised restraint and discretion to today's actions by the BNTU. However, the department is advising teachers to revert to carrying any industrial action within the confines of the law, as has been done many times in the past.
Again, we as a department would like to stress that much leeway was given to the teachers that were a part of this morning's activity. They were actually afforded up to 2 hours to remove their vehicles and disperse. And it was only after this request was not met that actions were taken, and the actions that were taken were very measured. The commissioner had emphasized with the command of the department that it is important that we recognize that all actions that are taken are measured, respectful, and in alignment with effective and lawful management of civil dissent. So while the department recognizes the importance of democracy to a healthy nation, the actions that are taken in pursuant to democracy must be done within the confines of the law. The teachers have demonstrated on numerous occasions in the past, which have yielded success in their venture, that they are cognizant of the procedures that must be followed in relation to labor dispute resolution, and we ask that they realign themselves with those practices.
Similar response was displayed by officers to all instances of civil unrest by the teachers in different parts of the country, according to ASP Smith.
Yes, the department is aware of other actions, and the department is putting mechanism in place to adequately and timely and effectively and within reason address those instances. And yes, I can confirm that at this point, the provisions that I've identified are being reviewed with a view to bringing the offenders before the court.
By now, you all know that the junta has rejected government's proposal to their demands. The proposal was detailed in a letter dated May 21st, signed by Deputy Prime Minister Cordial Hyde and presented to the joint unions representing teachers and other public servants. The letter outlined 7 key proposals intended to improve working conditions and financial benefits for public sector employees. One of the crucial items on the agenda is the upcoming collective bargaining agreement, which is tentatively scheduled for signing on June 18th. The government also committed to settling outstanding transfer grants, which are payments made to public officers and teachers upon transfer. In previous agreements, this grant was a one-time payment of $1,200, which was increased to $1,500 in the 2021-2024 agreement, leaving the government responsible for paying the additional $300. Another significant proposal involves the minimum wage, which the government has agreed to increase from $5 to $6 following consultations with various stakeholders. Regarding wage increases, the government proposed a phased approach, beginning with a 3% increase within the next 5 months. Today, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Francis Fonseca, who sits on GOB's negotiating team, revealed that an agreement has been reached on 6 of the 7 proposals.
As a government, we've always acknowledged and respected the right of the BNTU to advocate for better terms and conditions for their membership. That is their role, that is their mandate given to them by their membership. So we respect that, we acknowledge that. But we have put in place a structure, a mechanism that has been in place for some time for us to negotiate and discuss these issues. So on May 13th, we had a meeting between the Junta and government negotiating team. At that meeting, which I believe was very productive, a very positive, a very respectful meeting, the government made certain proposals to the Junta, the joint unions. The joint unions, I think we then followed that up with a 7-point letter in which we outlined the points of agreement or points of offer that we had made to them in that meeting. I should point out for the benefit of the public that we are agreed on 6 of the 7 points. We are in agreement on 6 of the 7 points. The 7th point has to do with the 8.5% salary increase demand from the teachers. And government, to be very clear, what government has said is that we are prepared to give you 8.5%, but we can't do it in one single year, one single fiscal year. We are prepared to do it over a 3-year period.
Prior to today's escalated protest, Fonseca told the media he is disappointed with the actions taken by educators.
I'm really disappointed that, in my view, the BNTU has really, I think, broken faith with those good faith discussions that we've been having, broken, I think, the trust of those discussions and negotiations. And I think, when they do that, they risk losing the support of reasonable people, the public, as well as, I think, losing credibility with this government and with future governments. We have always treated them with dignity, with respect. We have always, I can tell you, as the Minister of Education for the last 4.5 years, we have always worked with the BNTU to resolve any concerns they have, any issues that they raise. We have worked with them to try to address those concerns and issues in a respectful, meaningful way. So I think the risk there is that they will lose credibility. The governments will ask, this government and future governments, what is the purpose of working in good faith? What is the purpose of treating you with respect and working with you and trying to resolve issues? If at the end of the day, your position is we will strike, we will protest, we will disrupt, so I really hope that good faith will prevail and that we can resolve these issues where they should be resolved around the negotiating table.
The Minister of the Public Service, Governance and Disaster Risk, Henry Usher, also commented on today's blockages.
I believe that they are taking every opportunity they can to express themselves, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But like I say, it's important to always be discussing it in a productive and a respectful way. We don't achieve much by just screaming at each other. I don't see that as being taking anything forward. So I think what is more important is that we can have a reply sent to the unions, and then we schedule a meeting for when we can discuss that reply and the response that we receive. In the meantime, there are other areas that we are making good progress on. I believe that we have scheduled a date, June 18th, to discuss the new round of collective bargaining agreement, to at least sign a framework for that collective bargaining agreement. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be a whole different set of negotiations and discussions when it comes to what the unions are proposing in this new round of collective bargaining. So, there's a lot happening, and we can't just focus on the actions being taken, but rather let us see the progress being made.
Of ongoing debates over teachers' demands during the 2025 national budget discussions, Minister of Public Service Henry Charles Usher announced that public servants, including teachers, are set to receive a cumulative salary increase of 14% over the next 3 years. This caused a backlash, but today the minister told the media he stands by his words.
I believe that what I said is accurate, and I stand by that. Each increment represents more or less 2.5% to 3% of a salary adjustment when it comes to any particular public officer or teacher. So if we want to look at the numbers, those are the numbers.
What's your thoughts on how things have progressed since then? I know that around that time you all received word that the unions, now all of them, have rejected the proposal that you stand supporting.
I'm smiling because I thought we were keeping this conversation to what is happening here.
I can't do that, sir.
I understand. The truth is that I am somebody who will always prefer being around the table, discussing these issues in a respectful and productive manner. I always say that it's important to speak to each other rather than at each other. And right now, we received a response to the proposals that the government have made. The cabinet met yesterday to discuss that response, and a reply will be sent to them.
Government's response to teachers is expected to be delivered today or tomorrow. In a move signaling escalating labor tensions, the KHMH Workers Union has also initiated the first phase of an industrial action campaign, stepping up their demands amid ongoing negotiations with the government. The union's party concern centers around pension payments owed to workers who transitioned more than 2 decades ago from the Ministry of Health to the Carl Houston Memorial Hospital KHMH Authority as statutory board. Despite long-standing commitments, these employees have yet to receive the pensions they are entitled to, prompting frustration and calls for justice. According to union representatives, talks with government officials have stalled for an extended period, leaving members feeling ignored and undervalued. As a result, members of the KHMH Workers Union took to the streets to voice their dissatisfaction and push for a resolution. Today, the Ministry of the Public Service, Governance and Disaster Risk Management, Henry Usher, also weighed in on the issue.
An entity becomes a statutory body, there's always a process for the employees to determine whether they remain in the government service or they become employees of that statutory institution. When the KHMH became a statutory authority, I believe it was in 99 or somewhere, I can't remember the date, the employees were given the opportunity to remain either as a government employee or to be employed by KHMH. There are some that are employed by KHMH. There are some that are still employed by the government of Belize, even though they work at a statutory authority. So it's not as straightforward, just make everybody public officers or make everybody members or employees of KHMH. We have to look at each case on a case-by-case basis and see what's the best way forward. But there is a way to resolve this matter. I would not say there isn't, but certainly we have to be able to sit in a responsive and respectful way to be able to come up to a solution.
Alexis Rosado, a former diplomat representing Belize, made a court appearance yesterday before Justice Dixon as part of a continued legal proceedings related to serious allegations against him. The case, which has garnered significant attention since it first emerged in 2022, involves allegations of sexual misconduct involving a minor. Rosado faces multiple serious charges, including rape, sexual assault, and aggravated assault of an indecent nature. The complainant, a woman who was only 13 years old when the alleged abuse began, is now 27 and has come forward with these grave accusations. Initially, the matter was heard in the magistrate's court last year, but was later transferred to the High Court due to the severity of the allegations. Today's hearings was a preliminary inquiry, a crucial procedural step before the case advances to a full trial. Notably, Rosado remains a member of Belize's team negotiating the International Court of Justice, ICJ, boundary dispute. Belize's Foreign Minister, Francis Fonseca, confirmed that despite the ongoing legal case, Rosado will continue to serve on the ICJ team, underscoring the government's stance on his continued involvement in the diplomatic negotiations.
Yeah, obviously I'm not in a position to comment on the case, the criminal case before the court. What I can say is that, a decision was taken several years ago to keep Mr. Rosado in his capacity as a co-agent on the ICJ team, along with, of course, Ambassador Assad Schuman. And I think the justification for that, the rationale for that, was that he had been involved with this process for a very, very long time. He had a lot of knowledge and experience of engagement with the ICJ process. We were at a critical juncture. We are at a critical juncture in terms of that, the progress of that case before the court, the International Court of Justice. And so, the feeling of the government is that we should allow him to continue to serve along with Ambassador Schuman in advancing that work.
Fonseca also updated the media on the Belize-Guatemala territorial and maritime dispute case.
Both Belize and Guatemala have made their written submissions to the court. So that has been completed. That has been done now for almost a year. What we are doing now is waiting, really in a wait and see mode for the court to set a date for the oral hearings. And we have to wait until they set a date for that. The court, there's been a backlog of cases. There have been election of new judges. So there has been a delay caused by their own administrative inner workings of the court. So, we're very hopeful that a date can be set. Hopefully we get that date sometime this year or next year, early next year we get that date. And then, of course, once the oral hearings have been made, then, of course, we then await the judgment of the court.
Coming up next, Belize assumes pro tempore presidency of Federatur for 2025-2026, positioning the country as a regional leader in Central American tourism collaboration.
Attention farmers. The New World screwworm is a serious threat to livestock, pets, wildlife, and humans. It causes yield losses, damages the quality of meat and skins, and can even kill them if left untreated. Check your animals daily. If you see any wounds on them, treat them immediately. Prevention is key. Apply approved healing and fly repellents to the navel of newborn animals after dehorning ear tagging, or any other practice that leaves wounds on your animals to ensure your animal's well-being. If you notice worms in unusual wounds, report them immediately. Call Baja at 824-4872 or text or WhatsApp 670-7003 or call your nearest Ministry of Agriculture office. And don't forget, never transport or receive animals with injuries. Together, we will prevent the spread of this dangerous disease. This message was brought to you by Baja, OIRSA, AICA, USDA, and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security, and Enterprise.
Every smile, every hug, every step our children take is a precious gift. For 50 years, vaccines have been the shield protecting those moments, saving 6 lives every minute around the world. That's 8,000 lives a day. Thanks to Vaccination Week in the Americas, 1.2 billion people have been vaccinated across more than 40 countries. In 2024, we celebrated 30 years without polio and reaffirmed our region's status as measles-free. But there's still more to do. For 2030, PAHO has set the goal of eliminating more than 30 communicable diseases. This goal is about caring for our future and for our communities, our health systems, and boosting socioeconomic progress. One of our top priorities is to become the first region in the world to eliminate cervical cancer, a disease that took more than 40,000 lives in 2022 alone in the Americas. To this end, PAHO supports countries in reaching at least 90% vaccination coverage rate for the human papillomavirus in girls under 15 years of age. Also, some countries are already vaccinating boys, which will help achieve the overall goal. But there are still children and adolescents without access to vaccines. We need urgent support from our leaders, our communities, and from each individual. No child, no one should suffer or die from a disease that we know how to prevent. Why is getting vaccinated essential? Because each person vaccinated is a life saved, a step closer to individual, family, and community development. Because your decision makes a difference. For those you love, for the future, for your health, and for the good of your country and our region.
Today we stand at the threshold of progress, having witnessed the physical transformation of this laboratory into a cutting-edge facility that will enhance healthcare services in Belize.
This is an initiative that marks another key achievement of the European Union-funded Health Sector Support Program Belize project, one of the largest health sector initiatives in the country.
I would like to thank our implementing partners, the Pan-American Health Organization and the Ministry of Health and Wellness for the remarkable work that you are doing in the implementation of this project.
With a total investment of over $1.1 million, including the installation of solar panels in the coming months, the Central Medical Laboratory now stands as a model of smart health infrastructure. These improvements go far beyond aesthetics. They address years of structural deterioration, fire damage, and operational limitations. From mold remediation and advanced air systems to new safety features, upgraded electrical and water systems, flood risk mitigation, energy efficient fixtures, and even an expanded working space. This facility now reflects the standard of care and preparedness that Belizeans deserve.
In a recent move aimed at addressing alleged human rights concerns, the United States has announced visa restrictions targeting unidentified Central American government officials and their family members. The restrictions stem from accusations that these officials are connected to Cuba's controversial medical export program, which U.S. officials characterize as a form of forced labor. The announcement was made by the U.S. Department of State, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio asserting that certain officials linked to Cuban medical missions are involved in practices that exploit healthcare workers. Rubio emphasized that the program not only denies ordinary Cubans access to vital medical services, but also serves to enrich the Cuban government at the expense of its citizens. While Rubio did not specify the identities or the countries of the official targets, he called on other nations to join the United States in condemning the program. The issue has particular relevance for Belize. The Belizean government is not concerned at this time, as they have been in constant dialogue with the U.S.
Certainly not at this time. We've had very constructive dialogue with the U.S. Embassy here in Belize, and of course as well with them through our embassy in Washington, D.C. So, I think they have a very good understanding of the program we have with Cuba, the medical brigade program we have with Cuba. So we're not concerned at this point. Obviously, we continue to engage with them and provide whatever information they want regarding the program. But, our program, I think, is a very good program. Certainly, as I said, we ensure that the Cuban doctors are paid directly, so there's no question of any monies being given to the Cuban government. It goes to the individuals. So we think that program, it's very clear what that program is, and we believe that the U.S. government understands that.
Regional leaders have also weighed in on the matter. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley expressed her strong support for Cuba's medical missions in the Caribbean, warning that if disagreements over the program threatens her country's access to U.S. visas, Barbados is prepared to accept the consequences. Havana has yet to issue an official response to the U.S. sanctions. Historically, Cuba has dismissed accusations of exploitation and defended its medical missions as acts of international solidarity, emphasizing their role in providing health care and fostering international cooperation. The Belize Tourism Industry Association, BTIA, as we reported on Tuesday, recently assumed the pro tempore presidency of the Federation of Chambers of Tourism of Central America, FEDECATUR, for the 2025-2026 term. This significant appointment places Belize at the forefront of regional tourism integration across Central America and the Dominican Republic. FEDECATUR is recognized as the primary regional body representing the private tourism sector in all member states. Assuming this significant leadership in the regional tourism arena, according to BTIA President Efrain Perez, is a significant milestone for Belize's tourism sector and underscores the country's expanding role in fostering regional collaboration and sustainable travel initiatives.
Gives us a lot of opportunities as a country. I think that for the longest time, we have been trying to be a little bit much more integrated within the whole regional landscape of tourism. I'm very much happy that we are able to lead the Federation of Chambers of Tourism of Central America and the Dominican Republic in this one-year phase that they've allowed us to take it on. I believe that working very strategically with all our partners, all our private sector chambers of tourism within the region will certainly allow us to have a broader understanding of those opportunities that could be impacting not only a country like Belize, but the entire region as a brand. The presidency on a whole will allow us to be in constant dialogue with key strategic partners within the region and also locally within the different countries and their governments to look at the best alternatives that we could find in terms of really starting to develop Central America as a region. Our task is really to look specifically with the private sector entities within the entire region of Central America and the Dominican Republic, looking at initiatives that will assist us not only to have the brand stand out globally, but also make sure that our private sector individuals that are within the region itself are able to benefit from that visibility and that marketing aspect that we're able to determine as we move forward with all our partners. So there's a lot of decision making with governments, also with regional partners like Sitka, which is the tourism arm of the Sistema de Integración Turística de Centroamérica.
Their goal for Belize during its tenure, according to Paris, is to achieve strategic collaboration and bolstering private sector involvement, thus helping to shape the region's tourism agenda.
As private sector individuals within the tourism industry, especially within Belize itself, I think that for us, it's going to be a lot of dialogue, working very closely and really working with the Ministry of Tourism and also with the Belize Tourism Board in terms of those opportunities that we feel will be of essence for our private sector individuals. Fedicator in general has two strategic areas that they look at on a yearly basis. One of them is the Central American Travel Market, which is a trade show that is organized and is rotated within the countries in Central America. And it brings together over 100 wholesalers and international press from across the world to visit Central America and also all the individual countries that are comprised of. No? I think that is one of the key areas that we would be able to definitely start to work with very closely with ministry and also with the Belize Tourism Board to make sure that we're taking advantage of these opportunities. Added to that also, there's a lot of training programs that are available through Fedicator. Fedicator currently has a training academy that was launched last year, which is focused particularly to the hospitality industry, and also for those within, like for example, tour guides and tour operators within the industry itself, where they would be able to elevate the quality and the standard of the service that we're offering as a country, which will certainly elevate not only the country brand but also the regional brand.
Within the Belizean tourism atmosphere, Paris says the country is presented with a unique opportunity to meaningfully engage tourism stakeholders through capacity building and training.
Yeah, I think that for our hospitality industry in particular, I think that there has been over the past years a little bit of a step back in terms of being fully integrated within the region. BTIA currently this year has also been working very closely with our members to make sure that we bring to them initiatives that will also allow them to reach out to the wider Central American network of tourism operators, and by doing that, then it also allows us to really start to enhance our private sector, but more so to really improve on cross-border tourism within the region itself. There are many issues that are still pending within that area, and now being part of the Federation of Chambers of Tourism, I think it allows us to be able to understand and also be able to dialogue more closely with those that are in authority for us to be able to make certain changes that will be needed for us to integrate the private sector more and also to enhance tourism within the entire region.
The newly appointed Fedicator Board for 2025-2026 is comprised of representatives from Belize, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Panama, Dominican Republic, and Nicaragua as an observer. The 2025 theme for the September celebrations was unveiled this afternoon in Belize City. The theme, Belize at 44, Stronger Together, Rising Forever, was submitted by David Pena of Corozal and Holly Vasquez from San Ignacio. This year's team was selected from over 600 submissions, each representing unique renditions of what it signifies to be Belize at 44.
Yeah, we have two winners. I think it's happened before. So we had to give both of them acknowledgement and both of them prizes. One from San Ignacio and one from Orange Walk. So I think those things happen. So we have to deal with it. And but we're very happy. We're very happy with the submissions, as I said. We had submissions? Yeah, I think we got close to 600 submissions from all over the country. I was really glad to see participation from a lot of rural communities, from villages. I see some schools in rural communities really took it on as a project and worked on it. So that was very good, very good. We had participation from virtually every corner of the country. And the committee decided that, these two individuals who had come up with this team would be the ones who were receiving the recognition this year. We've had every variation of teams over the years. So we try, I think the committee tries not to repeat, and you'll find the words stronger and together, and you'll find them in almost every team, rising. So it's very difficult, it becomes increasingly difficult to find something new and original, if you know what I mean. So I'm never, 100% satisfied, but we have a process. We follow that process. We respect that process, the integrity of that process, and so at the end, it's put to a vote in the commission, which is, has widespread representation, and the committee goes with the majority vote on that issue. So, we accept that and we celebrate the team.
For both winners this year, having their team selected for the September celebrations brings about great pride and patriotism as Belize turns 44.
I was seeing how together as Belizean we can be stronger, as the team says, stronger together, and we can rise together as Belize.
Is this the first time you've entered the competition?
No, I entered last year also, and then I got inspired by my parents this year.
So how did it make you feel to know when you finally won?
Well, actually, when I reached from college, after school, my parents told me, I have something to tell you, and I was worried, if I do something bad. And then they told me how I went, and then I said, I can't believe it. And I cried to them, and then they showed me the picture where I was invited to right here.
Excellent. So tell us about how you helped to come up with this theme.
Well, it was my first time entering the competition, and I'm a person of into the national pride, and I was sitting and pondering upon the team, and I said, what a fitting team for this year. Belize at 44, stronger together, rising forever. Belize has been through a lot of economic hardship. We went through the pandemic, and we managed to rise above it. So it was just fitting that I put that team together, and it was selected by me and Mr. David. And it came as a shock to me as well that I was selected as one of the winners as well. So I'm grateful for it, and it's just fitting for this year's team.
Both winners will be officially awarded during the opening of the September celebrations later this year. The Belize Tourism Industry Association San Pedro chapter, a dedicated advocacy group formed several years ago, continues to champion sustainable tourism practices in the vibrant coastal community. With a current membership of 15 active members, the chapter aims to address pressing environmental issues that threaten the longevity of the local tourism industry.
Promoting and stuff. At one time, I would say in the 1980s, I was part of the first BTIA out there, and it was mainly to promote Ambergris Key as a destination.
Right.
We have moved away from that, and like I said, we're more an advocacy organization now. So basically, our function here is to advocate for whatever issues we have on the island, like the traffic. We address that with the town council and with the minister. So basically, that is mostly what we do. In terms for San Pedro, right now we are with the people from trying to fight this Cayo Rosario development. So we're advocating for that right now. We're also advocating for the northern Ambergris Key for better roads for the membership up north, which we've written letters to the minister with the collaboration with the North Ambergris Key. And one of our projects we want to start this year is with one of our members, Ray. He has a recycling project that he does here, so that is something that we really want to get into this year and for the future to start recycling here on the island.
According to the chapter's chair, Miriam Paz, environmental concerns have become increasingly impactful on San Pedro's tourism sector.
Biggest issue at this present time is the Sargassum, which unfortunately that's Mother Nature, and it's a losing battle, to be quite honest. It's not only Belize, it's the whole Caribbean that's taking that. I mean, Mexico, their beaches are closed down because of it, so we're not the only ones facing that problem. The cutting down of a lot of our mangroves on the island is a huge issue for BTIA and for San Pedro.
This issue with Sargassum, it's been one that has been taking on for quite some time
Couple years now.
And as you rightfully mentioned, it's not only affecting San Pedro, but as you mentioned in Mexico, in the areas of Cancun.
BTIA San Pedro has been at the forefront of efforts to promote eco-friendly initiatives, educate stakeholders, and advocate for policies that protect the island's fragile ecosystems. And that is where one of the late initiatives comes in, which has to do with recycling.
As you know, we have a tourist information center, which is part of BTIA. It's backed by the Louis Sylvester, or what we call the Sacachispas Field. We're also trying to get the see if BTB and the government would open the House of Culture again out here. That used to be located right next to the BTIA office, which would be a good collaboration between BTIA office and the little House of Culture, which had beautiful little museum. It was like a little museum with the history of San Pedro and everything. But we do have 2 fundraisers, which we need those funds to maintain the Tourist Information Center, which would be the Lobster Fest, which is on July 12th. And then we're also planning our second Beer Fest in October in collaboration with a kayak race.
Popular destination for snorkelers, divers, and eco-tourists alike, the BTIA San Pedro chapter is also working towards the reopening of the House of Culture. And in a proactive effort to address the escalating environmental issues impacting San Pedro's pristine beaches and marine ecosystems, including Sargassum, the San Pedro Town Council, SPTC, has unveiled a comprehensive Sargassum response plan. This multifaceted strategy aims to mitigate the adverse effects of the increasing influx of Sargassum seaweed while simultaneously promoting sustainable waste management and restoring the natural beauty of the island's coastal environment. According to Bianca Narvaez, Environment and Social Safeguards Officer at the San Pedro Town Council, the Sargassum Response Plan encompasses a series of ongoing initiatives designed to manage Sargassum accumulation effectively on 1 mile of the beach.
So lately, what we recently did was that we weighed the Sargassum to get the biomass, because with our ongoing efforts and with the funding and the collaborations and partners that we have, the community partners, they've been asking for us to keep track with the biomass. So there's a lot of research opportunities when it comes to the sargassum, but what we have been trying to focus on is to basically challenge it head on, just attack it head on and make sure that we're on top of it. Everyone sees sargassum as an issue, and while it may be an issue, it also has a lot of biodiversity in it, which is why, whenever it decomposes, it has a lot of smell, and it smells really bad.
Really
It's very
right.
pungent, yeah. So we try to tackle it head on, and right now what we do is we have we're hiring sargassum workers. So we are hiring. Please keep in mind we are hiring. So if you're interested, please come and apply. So we are hiring sargassum workers, and we also do have external cargo services like many other resorts and hotels. We all have everyone's hiring external cargo services to come and assist with the sargassum cleanup efforts. Yeah, we have been doing is people have been asking what we're doing with the sargassum whenever we pick it up and remove it off the beach. So whenever the sargassum has more sargassum than sargasso, which is just the plant, I should have brought some,
Yes.
which is just the actual brown plant, brown algae. If it's just the brown algae, we use that for this San Pedro subdivision, which is towards the back of the island, and we're using it as landfill to fill up one of the roads.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, it's actually also being used as a accumulation site to be able to test or keep track of the environmental hazards with the sargasso, keep track and testing the hydrogen sulfide that's being released from the sargasso whenever it decomposes as well. So that's one of the things we're doing with the sargasso. One of the other things we're doing is whenever the sargasso comes in with a lot of manatee grass and turtle grass, that is usually used for the beach. So that is targeted for the beach. And that we call it sargasso. So we have sargasso and then we have sargassum. And it's just a term that the council has, adopted and we've been using. And that stays on the beach because once the turtle grass and the manatee grass decomposes, it turns into sand. Or it captures a lot of sand, so it breaks down into sand. So we try to keep the sand on the beach. And then the sargasso, which is just the brown algae, we try to keep that in the San Pedro subdivision because that turns into dark soil or black soil. So we're using nature-based solutions to deal with the sargasso and find a proper use for it that is cost-effective and it's something that we can work with and manage.
Beyond immediate removal efforts, the Council is also prioritizing nature-based restoration strategies to rehabilitate the coastal ecosystem from Boca del Rio all the way to Mayan Princess.
So nature-based restoration project, a nature-based solution is working with nature to benefit the community and the people. Like we mentioned with the beach and the sargasso, and using the sargasso to replenish the beach and restore the beach. We're also looking at plant stabilizers that are plant stabilizers. They're planted on the beach shoreline to be able to stabilize the sand and create some strength there for the sand for our beach whenever the waves come in. We have had actually Mayor Wally has had a couple trips to visit other beaches that are doing nature-based restoration as well, and we're trying to adapt those methods and those initiatives here on the island. So nature-based solutions it's pretty much what leads all of our projects, to be honest with you.
All right, and how has that been working out?
Great. Yes, great. The plant stabilizers, we have had a lot of issues with certain, there are some homeowners that go and remove the plants from the beachside.
Okay.
And we go and we replant them. And every time they remove, we replant and we replant and we replant because we can't really go and argue, it's a community effort. So we have to, someday they'll stop. Someday they'll stop removing the plants, and until then we go and we replant.
Right.
And when they realize that we're replanting because it needs to stay there, they'll probably stop removing them.
Complementing the sargassum response, the Town Council is intensifying its waste management efforts. There is a particular focus on improving adherence to waste disposal rules by local businesses and households, recognizing that community cooperation is vital for maintaining a clean and sustainable environment.
Having their waste in an enclosed structure and only taking out the garbage or unlocking the structure on certain days of the garbage schedule, whenever the garbage men pass by and our sanitation team passes by. When it comes to fines and delivering fines for illegal dumping, we have partnered with DOE.
Okay.
We do have a Department of the Environment office here in the island at the moment as well, which is new. So that's who we have been partnering with to assist us with the fines and to assist us with, and following the proper protocols and to speak to these people and to talk to the residents.
And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
We are here at Highland Estates today to deliver 50 newly constructed studio homes to well-deserving families.
We have to say great big thanks to the people and government of Taiwan. Ambassador, please convey our greatest appreciation. This wouldn't happen without you, without your government, without the former president being so inspired, being so impressed by Minister Julius's presentation at that bilateral meeting.
The provision of affordable housing is the shared commitment and the common policy priority of both our governments. Taiwan is therefore very honored and pleased to partner with the government of Belize to support such an important program.
I'd like to give thanks to the Republic of China. 50 starter homes, ma'am, Ambassador, was done with your government's contribution of approximately $3 million Belize dollars. In addition to that, MIDH came in with our resources and we did the clearing of the bush. We did the surveying and the filling of the lot of a cost of approximately $500,000. Then we worked in collaboration with the utility companies to get some discount, and we managed to bring the cost of bringing power and water here for a cost collaboratively of $500,000.
I'm glad for this and I really appreciate it. This is for my children. This is something that I was hoping for, longing for.
In 10 years, probably in 5 years, when you come back here, you're going to see it totally different. You're going to see some people that have added to their homes. You're going to see more homes being built. We, those that are being blessed and have the opportunities, we take these things for granted, but it's not. These are the things that really start to make people's lives better and give them a sense of purpose.
The government of Belize GOB through the Ministry of Economic Transformation, MET, and the Ministry of Public Utilities, Energy and Logistics hosted an in-country mission from the International Finance Corporation, IFC, for the Belize Solar Public-Private Partnership PPP project, which aims to increase the country's solar energy capacity. The purpose of the mission was to discuss the legal due diligence processes in preparation for the issuance of the project's request for pre-qualification planned for mid-July 2025. The team held one-to-one meetings with relevant stakeholders to collect the input necessary to inform the assessments that would feed into the project's next phase. The team held meetings with the Millennium Challenge Account Belize Public Utilities Commission and Belize Electricity Limited. This mission also follows a recently completed market sounding activity where the government issued a request for expression of interest, REOI, and received over 50 EOIs indicating a strong interest in both local and international markets. The project is aligned with the government's goal to increase renewable energy by 75% by 2030 and marks Belize's first PPP in the energy sector. As part of its emergency preparedness efforts, UNICEF Belize has donated 10,000 bars of high-energy biscuits to the Ministry of Health and Wellness to support vulnerable populations during crisis, including young children and pregnant women. The handover took place today at the National Vaccine Building in Belmopan. The donation was officially presented by Dr. Olusola Olohedi, UNICEF's Health and Nutrition Specialist, to Dr. Melissa Diaz, Director of Public Health and Wellness, and nutritionist Robin Daly. The high-energy biscuits, HEBs, are specially formulated for use in emergencies, offering an immediate and portable source of nutrition. Each biscuit is fortified with protein, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats to help meet the dietary needs of individuals in disaster-stricken or food-insecure situations. UNICEF emphasized that this pre-positioning of emergency supplies aligns with its core commitments to children, which prioritize life-saving interventions during humanitarian crisis. With the Atlantic hurricane season underway, the biscuits will be used to supplement diets in affected areas, particularly for at-risk groups such as children under 5 and expectant mothers. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, June 5th here on CTV3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read the text version of the news, you can visit our website at CTV3BelizeNews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at Facebook.com/CTV3BelizeNews or our YouTube channel at CTV3 News BZ. From all of us here at CTV3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.